Darren, first of all then, great news that the FA Cup second round tie will be broadcast live on BBC Two.
Yeah, brilliant. No, obviously great. Any sort of positive PR for the club is good, and it's a good game for us, and one we're very much looking forward to. But there's a few more in between that we need to get right.
Yeah. Do you have any preference on that? I guess you'd quite like to face Stevenage, but none the same, a league opposition. I guess you wouldn't really mind too much who come out of that replay.
I don't know why you'd suggest that. No, we need to be perfectly balanced. They're both going to be good sides, and obviously I've got a connection with Stevenage. I was there for a long, long time. Brilliant club, great people. So I've got a lot of affiliation with them. And MK are the same. Obviously, I live very, very close to MK now. Sorry, my house back in Bedfordshire. So yeah, it's become another local club for me, really. And again, good people, massive club, brilliant ground, development of their training facilities and things like that. So whichever game we get will be a tough game. Both have got young managers. But both really difficult tasks for us.
Yeah. Good to see Sonny on the score sheet again last night at Larkhall.
Did he score last night?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, Wilco's didn't go over the line.
It was Bradley, wasn't it?
No, it was Sonny that scored.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no. It was a wonderful free kick from Luke Wilkinson. I mean, really, really top draw. And he was very unfortunate in that. But yeah, any sort of involvement in goals is probably my only criticism of Sonny in the league games is his goal threat. We can all see what a brilliant footballer he is. A lovely balance and the way he moves his body. But yeah, so any sort of goal threat is something that we're discussing on a daily basis with Sonny and how he can get himself into a mindset of executing rather than providing. Very much so in a similar way to Yates on Saturday when he beautifully dropped his shoulder and bent that one in the far corner. So anything for him, that practice. And he had that when I was with him at Watford. He had that, and it seems to have maybe just come back out of his game. I think a lot of players, when they call themselves a number 10, I think there's a confusion around 10s. You've got to score goals. You're a forward. You're not a midfield player. You're a forward. You've got to score goals. So I think that's something that he's trying to reintroduce to his performance. Brilliant players. Anyone can see brilliant player. It was nice in the same vein to see Quigley score.
Yeah, and goals coming in against Yates last week, 5 of them away from home. That can only be good for the confidence, can't it, going forward as well, as you look to get on extend this unbeaten run now.
Yeah, no, we're in good form. I mean, we're in as good as form as the first 4 games of the season right now, and players are playing very well. And that's all this is. It's about trying to get as many in form as possible. But Matt Worthington is playing his best football for me in 2.5 years. Gorman and Staunton have been excellent. All of them very, very good. Moss is definitely developing, especially the attacking part of his game. Wakefield and Knowles are a threat. Addy's become a real handful for people to deal with. So we're in good form, and the players can feel that. We can definitely see they can feel that they're playing well. The standard in training has been very, very good again, very good. Even though we've had a bit of a disruptive training week because of the game last night, the training standards have been very, very pleasing, very pleasing. So no, we're in what would be a good place. We now need to start making some sort of movement now in the table. And putting some real sort of weight behind those performances.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. I mean, in the table now, looking at your next opponent, Eastleigh, they're only 3 points above you, so it's a good game in that respect, isn't it? What sort of a game are you expecting at the weekend?
Well, they've been tough. Every game against Eastleigh's been tough. I mean, they beat us well and truly last year here. And that was the game that we lost Staunton for the rest of the season. So it wasn't a particularly pleasant experience, that one, for all of those reasons. But I've always been tough. I worked with Ben when he was a player. He was always an intelligent footballer. So coaching and management would always been a natural progression for him. And he does very well. The club does very well. They're trying to build an infrastructure there that is as professional as can be. And they've got some good players. I mean, Hesketh's a good player. They've got Tom Whelan, who was with us, he's a very good player. So, they got a lot of threat in their team. And these games, all of these games, none of them are easy. They're always a war of attrition. And we've got to be at our best again. But we do go into it knowing what our best looks like and feeling at our best right now.
Yeah, and it's also nice to be back at Hewish Park, I would imagine. The players obviously always enjoy returning home.
Yeah, I mean, our away form's been better. There's no denying that. There's no and the support away from home has been incredible. It'll be nice to get back to Hewish and get another win. The last time we was here, we obviously had a good win against Woking, and it'll be nice to back that up. But like I said, we're in good form. Our defensive record now is really, really good. And when normally defensive records in young squads, they don't always go hand in hand. But our defensive record's really good. We're looking at Wilkinson being very close now, Morgan Williams very close now. I think we're probably only 2 or 3 weeks away from Ruben rejoining the training group. And couple that with our recent performances, there's a lot to kind of be positive about. But no, we're in great shape, and we're looking forward to trying to create a good atmosphere at Hewish Park. Their energy and their encouragement is everything really to that group. And we're going to need them. We're definitely going to need them. The Thatcher's End this year has been just incredible, absolutely incredible. And it'll be nice to put in another good performance.
Yeah, well, good luck for the weekend, Darren. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Darren, FA Cup time. I did a bit of reminiscing yesterday. We had a video that we made here when Man United came down.
Okay.
And the excitement and the memories that brought back. I mean, you must be hoping that you can get through into round 3 and not necessarily draw United, but I mean just draw a big club.
The first bit's right, just getting into round 3, definitely. MK and Stevenage, they're big games for us. The fact that the telly, will be here.
Yeah.
They're big games for us in that sense, and obviously the sort of the bonus bits that come off of the telly being here, the finances and things, make it really important that we try and go one better. Add that to the fact it could be Stevenage and it's my old club. That adds a little bit more. Add the fact that it might be MK Dons and they're a very good League One football club. That adds a bit more, and you just build and build. But no, it's good to be in the I thought the players were marvellous last weekend, absolutely marvellous, and fully deserve some sort of reward for that performance.
Yeah, definitely. But obviously the financial side as well must help if you could get to the round 3. I mean, and get televised is a fairly healthy check at the end of it.
Yeah, either way, it's money and revenue for the football club, absolutely. Whether the manager gets to see the revenue is another thing. I've been to the third round a couple of times as manager, and I don't think I got too much out of that achievement. But it's no, look, whatever happens, it just means winning. That's all it means to me. It means winning another game. It means being at our best for another game. It means, trying to build some positivity around the football club, for another game, and keep working in that direction. And like I said, the most important thing is that, we're very much in form.
And, when you look back, the game against Weymouth seems to have sort of started this little run now, and apart from the slight slip up at Grimsby, which you played well, even though you didn't get a result there. The FA Cup is a big part of it, helping you to, get a real run going.
Well, I'm not sure it was the FA Cup. The fact that I think we played Weymouth, I think that no one really thought about it being a cup game when we played Weymouth. It was all about Yeovil v Weymouth and the bits that come with that. So that definitely ignited, a very good first half performance in the first game here, a really good performance in the second game, where we did feel a little bit hard done by to be going into extra time, and then the fact that we missed the penalty in the last kick of extra time, and then the crap penalties that came after that. It's sometimes you have to, stumble over those hurdles in order to come out the other side. And then we, obviously we went to Grimsby, and after all of those minutes played and all the emotion in it to travel the distance we did and the time it took there and back to put in the performance that we did, showed great character, real character. And all these things are just building resilience. And I thought that the point at Sarll was kind of the start of us seeing this resilient group of young men defending really, really well. We know we need to score more goals. That's obvious by our goals scored. But the resilience in these young men that don't always go hand in hand was excellent. So there is growth, and I think everyone wants to see progress. And it's only when you see regress that fingers start to get pointed. But there's real progress here. Like I said, Wilkinson being back, that's progress. Morgan Williams being back, progress. Centre halves available for the first time in, 2 years. So that's a really nice feeling. And we keep building. And Eastleigh, they've always been tough for us, really tough. So it'll be a tough game.
But Luke's definitely okay, is he, for Saturday now?
Luke will be good to go. He had a good 45 again last night. So he's had 80 minutes now of kind of rebuilding. So you'd like to think he'd be good as long as there's no problems tomorrow. Yeah. You'd like to think that he'd be good to go Saturday. If he's not, and we need to leave it again and make him a sub, we'll do that. Morgan Williams is definitely in a state to go if need be.
You mentioned the crap penalties. Do you actually, this is probably a naive question, but do you actually practice penalties?
Sometimes.
But not a regular thing?
It's a 12-yard pass.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's a 12-yard pass. A penalty is a 12-yard pass, so we practice passing every day, practice kicking the ball every day. It's a 12-yard pass. Some people can go up and handle the moment. Some people can't. Dale Gorman, obviously, can handle that moment.
Yeah.
I completely forgot when I signed him that he took penalties for me at Stevenage in the first team, and he would have been a wee boy. He would have been 19.
Yeah.
So we obviously know he can pass 12 yards, first of all, just 13, and he'd struggle, but 12 he's got nailed. But he can take that moment, Dale. Addy the same, and some can't. Some can't. Some have the odd miss. Joe's a good penalty taker. I know he missed the one at Weymouth, but that was a brilliant save. So I think there are, when you break it down to its most natural form, it's a 12-yard pass into a corner. That's it. And if the goalie makes a brilliant save, guesses early, goes right, then obviously the odds lengthen. And but if you can connect right, no one should stop a 12-yard pass. A free, and they have have you noticed they all have 4-metre run-ups?
Yeah.
If I'm passing from me to the end of this room, which I'm guessing is 15 yards, I plant my foot, I don't step back, I plant my foot and I push the ball the distance. They have 4 metres. They have a 4-metre run-up. Who needs a 4-metre run-up for 12 yards? It's embarrassing. That's goalies take a 4-metre run-up and kick it 80 yards.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. We try and keep it simple. Really, really simple. We're very fortunate. I am very fortunate. The club is very fortunate that Grant Smith is a brilliant goalkeeper, especially in those moments. Comes from a goalkeeping family. His dad's a goalkeeping coach. He's brilliant in them situations and wants to take one. So he was going to be number 6 at Weymouth.
If you had a choice, would you blast straight down the middle or would you go corners?
Corners.
Because
Always.
I always think if the goalkeeper's committed to go one way or the other, there's a big hole down the middle.
No, but if he's committed to going one way or the other, there's a hole one way or the other, isn't there?
Well, yeah.
So
you can argue both ways.
you can pick holes in whichever format you want.
Yeah.
Listen, the fact of the matter is, you've got to be able to suck in the moment, and we're doing it. Remember, at you're only ever taking penalties at your most fatigued state. 120 minutes in whichever form is hard, very hard, and fatigue is the only thing that makes cowards of us all. So when you're fatigued, you're weak. And if your legs feel weak, does your mind feel weak? How do you spin that around? Do you think you're strong to try and make your legs feel strong? Do you run down? Do you walk down? I mean, there's been a million theories on how to take penalty. No one's going to get it because it's how that individual deals with that moment. So we take penalties in training because sometimes we resolve a drawn game with penalties. We take penalties in training sometimes because Gorman's smashed through someone and it's a penalty. There was a penalty the other day. I can't remember who. Morgan Williams got fouled and he had a penalty. So it's just doing it right every day. If you foul and make them take a penalty.
Each game one at a time. Eastleigh tomorrow, Saturday. Win this game, the run's beginning to look quite impressive then, isn't it?
Absolutely. I completely agree with that as well. I think it's one of those games that kind of will define the moment. Maybe the month. I mean, October was pretty rubbish, really, when I think back. Sprinkled and shined up a little bit by the FA Cup win. But, we want to make sure November is really prosperous going into the Christmas break. We want to make sure that the return of Reed and Little is whilst we're in a positive state, because I think then you use them differently. If it's not going great, you're desperate to get them back in. I think that's when people break down again. Yeah. So if we can do that and head into the Christmas programme in a positive state, and like I said, I've said this a million times, it was one point, my lowest place at Stevenage was 17th in my 2.5 years, and it was at the end of February. I was 17th. By the middle of March, we were 4th. Because we went on such a decisive run. So we only really need to be in and around it come January to then go and propel ourselves. And that's all it needs. And the group needs this time period to get better again. Because it has taken time. And it's taken a lot longer because the senior, sort of the stability in the team has not been able to play enough of the games. And as soon as these young lads who have now gone through a real testing time in October, as soon as they now start seeing that kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, and then they start seeing Wilkinson back in the lineup, they start seeing Little, they start seeing Reed, there's going to be real confidence and positivity around them going and winning even more games, having known that they've already been through the rigours and traumas of October, 8 games in October. So I'm really hopeful for the second half of the season, but we've got to be in a position of contention so that we can keep ticking over. I think that's how Hartlepool went up last year. I don't think they had a great first half, Hartlepool. But we always see it, don't you? You always see at the end of the season that team that just races through the league. So
there's always one, isn't there?
Always, in every division in all of the world. There's always one that finishes strong. And we believe that the time period that would have lagged would have served us well, and those players will be in good form. We'd love to say that. I would love to be in a position to say that the players like Moss and Robinson, Sonny, they're all going to stay until the end of the season. I'd love that to happen in January, so that we get the benefit of their learning in that second half of the season when we really need them. That would be a big boost for us, because we've still only got 15 outfield players at our disposal. So take Robinson, Moss and Sonny out of that.
Yeah.
Oops. That'll be tricky then, wouldn't
it? Yeah.
So it's even when we split the groups for last night's game and a group to train today, we'll have 7 players to train today because 8 played last night.
Yeah.
I'm not super smart, but that tells me you've got 15 outfield players. So, we're not huge. So we've got to make sure the recruitment's right come January.
Well, long may the run continue.
Absolutely.
3 points on Saturday, and we'll all be happy.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Gaffer.
How you doing, Darren? You okay?
Well, good.
I heard on Saturday that there might have been a couple of instances between players and fans. Firstly, if so, how are they?
Not players and fans.
Just
You got to say that right.
just fans?
Fans to players.
Yep.
Right.
How are the players, first of all? And obviously we're aware of it. And is there anything you can really comment on at this stage?
Not really. We're going through a process now of with the FA, where we're speaking to the FA. There was a couple of things. There was a couple of reports from witnesses that there may have been some prejudice and discrimination and also some hate. And the one I know most about is probably the hate. And what people think is okay to say to another human being now has gone bonkers. I mean, it is disgusting. So I don't want to say what was said because it's not this isn't the platform to do that, and that's for the FA and the governing bodies to nail down. But it's not nice. And if someone said that to me, as a human being, forget about being a football manager, forget about being a coach of Yeovil or an employee of Yeovil, yeah, I'd want to stick one right on the end of their router. So, as a human being. So, just people, the world's getting crueler. It's becoming more cruel. It's becoming more vindictive. And the punishment for these things is becoming easier and lighter. And the way we develop values and a moral compass in our young people now is not the same as when definitely I grew up. I'm sure it's changed again with Adi when he grew up. But we cannot instill respect, sometimes fear, and keep people on the right path because we're not allowed to. What is to deter someone now from setting up an online account and saying horrible things? Horrible things get said about me all the time. People wish that football managers lose their jobs. Now, if they turn that back on themselves and said, someone was wishing that they lost their jobs, would they then go through the same thought process as a football manager? How am I going to earn my living? How am I going to pay my mortgage? What am I going to do to feed the kids? How am I going to go on holiday? How am I going to buy Christmas presents? We're all human beings. So nothing really differentiates us in that moment. But the fact that people think that they can wish that on someone now, and this club should know better than anyone, what mental health can do to an individual, and that it is a terminal illness at certain points. But no one learns. And no one learns because there's no consequence to not learning. So these people say these horrible things to really nice people that, are good dads, members of their community, just earning a living, a modest living, by the way, and they think they can behave in such a way. And it's just a shame, really, because I thought the manager and the players, I thought they conducted themselves in a fantastic fashion. It was just a shame that, we've had reports of hate, maybe some discrimination in the terraces. And, it does always take the shine off it because, again, from a manager that's dealt, with an individual with terminal mental health issues, how does that individual feel that evening, the next day, the days leading up to the next game, so on and so forth. So obviously that becomes quite an anxious moment for me because we've seen the very worst of it.
On a more positive note, obviously you won last night. It looked like you had a decent first team spine with a good show for the youngsters, the youth team.
Yeah. So there's two things here with these games. One, maybe three actually. One, we needed some senior players to get minutes. For example, a Hunt who has played every minute of every game other than the minutes he missed through being sent off. Big boys need to train, they need to play. I thought it was really important he got back out there before another league game. So I thought that for that scenario, that was really important. Alex Bradley needed a games. Sonny, after his injury at Grimsby, needed another full game. Quigley needed a game. Addy still needs to play games. Wilkinson, Morgan Williams needed to do what they did Saturday, but the other way round. So Max Evans, the goalkeeper, needed experience in games. So they're good for that. And I think when you're playing those players, I think the manager should take the game because it sets the right standard. I think the second thing is you can obviously, lots of managers, me included, in previous jobs, would have just sent the youth team. We've not really got an apprentice team anymore. We've got a different setup. If I'd have sent our youth team to that game on Wednesday night, one of them would have got seriously hurt because they were playing against some very, very adolescent, mature men. And if I'd have sent the youth team, that would have been like sending lambs out to slaughter. It wouldn't have been fair. So I think we consider that in those moments as well, what we think that these young people can sustain and what they can't. And I think, thirdly, in my own selfish way, there will come a time where I'm not in work and I'll be desperate to do a game. And I would give my left arm to do Larkhill away as manager at Yeovil. So I always think like that. And that's why I go on, what should be my day off with my family. I go to these games and I love them. I absolutely love them. I had half an hour with 3 supporters that had come to the game last night and we were able to just talk. There was no pressure on it. It wasn't, no one was holding guns to anyone's head. Just had a chat. Terry and I with 3 very, very nice men that wanted to talk all things Yeovil. Gives me a chance to try and really kind of wind Terry up in front of people, which is one of my favourite things. And I found out last night that Terry scored a few goals. He was pretty adamant he had. So he kept telling me he had. So these 3 witnesses backed it up. I said, "You never scored on me, son." But there we go.
And just going back to Max, it was obviously good for him to have a clean sheet and him to sound like he had pulled off a couple of good saves. And it was good to see kind of Pedro Borges for the first time in a senior capacity as well.
Max was... I was disappointed with Max at first half. Second half, I thought he was fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. He's only 19. His development has been incredible. Craig White, our goalie coach, deserves huge credit for that. But also Adam Smith deserves a lot of credit for that. And obviously Grant, they deserve huge credit for the way they work with this young man. But he is growing into a very, very accomplished young goalkeeper. I think there might be a stage this year where he might need to go and have a month's worth of games somewhere just to tick him over. But we'll definitely be using him in the trophy for those games. He will 100% have to play in the league at some point this year. But his development, his decision making, all these things are getting better and better by the game.
That's great. Thanks, Darren. Good luck.